who fights back?
Okay, first and foremost, you need to critically understand something. This was put into law last year by the National Assembly. We need to understand that over 65% of people in the State House of Assembly do not understand what this law entirely means. Thirdly, we need to understand that state governments have abused or drawn power throughout democracy since 1999 from the kidnap of state legislature, its funds, and an attempted kidnap of the local government and its funds. The actual funds in the jurisdiction of a governor's power, actually, according to the Constitution, is not enough for him to be flying a private jet at will. Neither is it enough for them to do the kind of things they do. The governors in Nigeria thrive on local government, stolen local government, and State House of Assembly State House of Assembly funds. Now, here's the problem. You asked me a very critical question. Who exactly is supposed to who exactly does this onus fall on? Being honest with you, it falls on the electorate. If the electorate is not educated enough to understand what exactly is law in a country, they cannot engage the democracy, and they cannot produce a clear-cut system. Because right now, what is occurring is between the state executive and the state legislature. Underline the fact that the state legislature, most of the time, and I'm saying 65% of them, and this is being minimalistic, 65% of them do not even understand the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The smartest thing you would hear from maybe a state legislator in, let's say, Lagos State is maybe he's attempting to hold Feladi, or he say has some constituency projects. He see some estates in his side. He used to call them so that they will clear their refuse, which is totally not. He's going to ensure light. That's not your job. A legislator is supposed to campaign on his understanding of the Constitution, the kind of bills he wants to put forward that would ensure his people are adequately represented. That is the job of a legislator. And if you have people in the legislative houses that have totally not read the Constitution, of which I know, don't even know the Nigerian Constitution, then who put them there? You put them there because of a party bias? The electorate cannot continue to mortgage its responsibilities and cry foul. It's not possible. You can't eat your cake and at the same time want to have it in the fridge. It doesn't work that way.
I want to come to you for a moment here, Mr. Afolabi. Is there any instance of State House of Assembly fighting back against the governors of their states to actually gain this full financial autonomy? Or are all of them just sitting idle and letting the status quo remain?
Well, to answer that question, I will go back to what the last speaker has just said. You see, you want them to fight back. When the process of election or the process of electing them is the sole responsibility of the governor, you know that, okay, the governors they are the leaders of their party in their state, and they dictate or decide who eventually emerge as candidates of their party. So where you have a governor that is the one that pick those so-called legislators, there is no way they can face the governor and begin to challenge his authority. So we have to go ahead with the conversation. We have to start looking at how to change the current narrative where the governors dictate who become the candidate of the party and eventually emerge as the lawmaker. I want to give you an instance in Ekiti here. In 2007, we had the best state assembly. Why? Because we had 13. We have 26. We have 26 member assembly in Ekiti. But under that dispensation, we had 13. That is 13 for ACN then, and 13 for PDP. So it was they had a robust legislature. They passed one of the best laws, because if you are able to manage your own party members, you won't be able to dictate to the opposition. So as a result, they were keeping the executive on their toe throughout that 4 years. And it will interest you, there was no decamping across the two divides. So until we begin to have a different method of electing them, then we cannot be talking about them having the courage to face the governors.
Yeah, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'd like to respond. So I've been in politics quite a while, and I've worked within political parties. If Nigerians refuse to be part of political parties, why won't governors dictate? How many of us are part of political parties? How many of us participate in party primaries? We don't even run a democracy in Nigeria, let me be honest. We run a selection. Because we don't participate in party primaries, they just bring Mr. X, R, and P, who now say, this one is Labour Party, this one is ADC, this one is SDP, and we jump on it. If you don't participate, democracy is a full circle. So you can't say you just sit back and say, the governor is the leader of the party. Must you vote the party the governor is in? You are not forced. Nobody forced you to. So you can't say it's not the responsibility of the electorate.
So I want to talk to you about that and follow my train of thoughts here, because when I listen to Mr. Afolabi speak, it sounds as though he's telling me that opposition, the time that they experienced opposition in their house was perhaps one of the best times they had, a fully functional state house of assembly. And so we're seeing him argue in favor of opposition. We hear our politicians say, oh, look, if we have an opposition, they would oppose many of the good things that we want to do for you. And, that's not true. But there is something about the way that opposition sort of looks in Nigeria. And people will tell you, this party and that party, they are the same people. And we see the way they decamp, right? One lawmaker goes into, office on the ticket of one party. He gets the seat, he moves to the next, and life continues. And so for many of them, it's like, look, let's go with ease, as opposed to having people who, are going to keep fighting for 4 years because they hate each other, not necessarily because they are fighting for us, because at the slightest opportunity, they will decamp. How should Nigerians then see and work towards opposition that is in their favor, and not necessarily politicians who are fighting each other because they belong to different parties?
Okay, we've always been caught up in party lines in Nigeria, and it goes against, once somebody starts talking, I can tell you before you get sentence 3, I can tell you which party you support. And we move around Nigeria and we get to see this occur. I think the problem in Nigeria is that we do not vote for people who have Nigeria first as their agenda. Most of the time, we vote based on sentiment. We want to get the old people out. That's the first sentiment. Next, we want to get people out of APC out. We want to get people out of PDP out. We want to get people out of Labour Party out. We want to get people out of SDP out. So Nigerians are not politically literate enough to make the right choices. Back to what I said earlier, you cannot engage what you don't understand. And that is why we cannot make choices. If Nigerians do not even understand the job of a local government chairman, the job of a House of Rep, or a State House of Assembly, or a Senator, or a Federal House of Rep, how are you going to elect someone that is good for it? Because he put 6 boreholes in your street. Is that why you are going to vote for him? The job at Abuja is not 6 boreholes. Okay, let's look at all political parties together. They approved jeeps for everybody. Did you hear any party in opposition saying they didn't want? And what was funny was that another candidate who didn't win the presidential election, whose name I will withhold, came out and said, if you were president, those jeeps will not go to the National Assembly. Oga, you don't have a choice. The National Assembly controls its budget entirely. So the president can just watch the National Assembly. They can buy cars for themselves. Nothing will happen. I'm just making it clear. That's the same independence we want to give to State House of Assemblies. And I also know why governors hold State House of Assemblies down. It's very simple. They're the only ones that can take out a governor. without an election. And because they protect themselves from impeachment, and if you go back to Nigeria's early democracy, that's in this Fourth Republic, you will notice even Peter Obi was impeached by the State House of Assembly. The assemblies were quite diverse then. Even the president was threatened. Obasanjo at the time, his first this thing, had a lot of strife with Chuba Okadibo and a few others. Then those are when we had assemblies that were open. Now we have people that don't even understand the power, don't even know what they are doing. I'm sure if you invite any State House of Assembly person to this show to discuss this particular financial independence, they will decline.
And we did.
I'm telling you, they will decline.
We reached out to lawmakers, and even we were doing that in collaboration with Mr. Folabi, the journalist who wrote this story.
They will decline.
We reached out to lawmakers in Oyo, in Osun.
They will decline. I'm answering it for you.
Yes, and yes, a lot of them said no to this conversation. So you were right. Mr. Folabi, in your report, you quoted the Nigerian Governors Forum saying that they are not able to implement this policy, this law, due to, and to quote this report, lack of modality for implementation. What exactly does that mean? Because some states have gotten it through. So what exactly did they mean by lack of modality for implementation?
Those were just semantics, because the section we are talking about is very clear. There is no need for any modality. Just whatever belongs to the state assembly, to the last kobo, give it to them. What modality are they talking about? Okay, to help them at that time, I hope you recollect that the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, enacted what we call Order 10 or something like that. Order 10 that specify the modality they are talking about. But they went to court to defeat it. Public Order 10. They went to court. The Governors Forum went to court to defeat it. So now that you have an express constitutional provision, you don't need to beg anybody. After all, when you are taking a note, you sure that you are going to obey the constitution to the letter. You cannot select which one to obey or which one not to obey. So in a Senate climb, this kind of conversation should not be happening.
I mean, I was going to come to you. I was going to come to that because it's already law. It should just be the status quo.
You are as good as leaving that office in a Senate. But in this part of the world, I think the way we should start the conversation moving forward is to begin to educate, number one, the electorate, to also see the quality of people that will be going to the state parliament. Because when you are not properly educated, like my other colleagues, I mean the
Mr. Lowell,
if you are not properly educated to be able to hold your own there, it will be a problem.
So here's the thing, Mr. Falabi. Sorry to interrupt you. Here's the thing.
Yes.
What we're saying now is that this financial autonomy for State House of Assembly, for the legislature, is law, right?
Yes.
It has become law.
Of course.
Right? So, and by default, every State House of Assembly in the country should be, should function like they should under, this new autonomy plan or this
like
autonomy regime. Exactly.
Yes.
If there are state houses of assembly that are not working like they should, then it means that they themselves, right, have decided that even though the shackles have been taken off their hands, they would rather remain bound. So this is not about the governor anymore. This is about the state lawmakers deciding, no, I don't want to be free.
Yes, they should free themselves. I think with what is happening, you said you reach out to some of them. They didn't want to join issue, even on a public debate like this. So it is a difficult matter that we are dealing with. And without a vibrant state assembly, There can't be development in states. There can't be development because they are the ones that are elected by the people to represent them. And budgeting is part of those representations. But when you cannot, the executive will just forward the budget, you just approve it without looking at it, whether it even benefits your own constituents. Then we have a problem on our hands. So the way forward is to begin that education. We educate the electorate. We even educate the governors themselves that in the long run, in the final analysis, they are destroying themselves. Because when you have a vibrant state assembly, it will help you to perform.
Right, that is assuming that they have the interest of the people.
You know where I find the biggest contradiction?
Yeah.
And it is governors are always saying they want restructuring, they want more from the federal. You want more from the federal, but you've kidnapped state legislature and you've kidnapped local government.
They want to be emperors.
How can you want more from the federal? For me, I think I'm a proponent of the federal kidnapping the state.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Mr. Lawal, right? We hear that, so in this report that Afolabi wrote for The Guardian, lawmakers who remained unnamed said that some state assemblies still depend on their governors to fuel their generators during plenary sessions. Yes, it's in the report, Mr. Afolabi. I'm reading this right here.
Of course.
That the governors fuel their generators. That's how bad it is. And now we have parliamentary workers in Osun, Oyo, Edo, Kano, Ogun, Ondo on an indefinite strike to force the implementation of financial autonomy in these legislative houses. But we can't leave this surely to the parliamentary workers alone, right?
Yes.
What are you asking Nigerians in these places where they don't have autonomy for their state house of legislature?
I think the electoral college will get on this. I'll be talking to other CSOs, to get this done. But at this point, I also need to say something for the states that haven't gone on strike on this kind of matter. And there are 31 states still in prison, if we're correct. Partial implementation and zero implementation. If you want to raise an elephant, when it's small, you keep tying it to a tree. When it grows big, even if you take out the rope, the elephant will think it can't leave the tree. And I think this is the situation with our parliamentarians. We've created a culture, and the citizens, the electorate too, are caught up in that culture of the way things. This is not the way things are. This is the way they have been created to enhance corruption, and we have assumed it is normal and it is law. How can governors tell you have problems with modalities executing the law? If I were the president, I would cease FAC allocation to states till they implement it. You won't have any money coming to your state. I'll release to local governments directly and cease to the states. And I think that's the only way they'll get the message. I think everybody has been a little lax with everybody. For me, the biggest problem in our democracy has always been governors. Their interventions on what things they should never put their hands in has always been the issue.
This is clearly a problematic situation, and I mean, just as we wrap things up here, I want to come to you, Mr. Afolabi, for a second. And what does it seem like the lawmakers in these places where the parliamentary staff have gone on strike want to do? Are the lawmakers joining this strike? Are they giving any support to these workers? Because in many cases, they are of one political party, and so they actually do take these government decisions at political party level, and that should not be the case. So, did anybody tell you about what they want to do? Or,
from my observation and what I noticed is that they all want financial independence for the legislature, the lawmakers. If they can confide in you, they all want that independence badly, because the current scenario is not also good for them. So, but because of what we have highlighted before, their hands are tied because of the way they manage and all those.
Are their hands really tied, or are they refusing to? Because again,
let me finish, because the politicians, when you are elected today, you start thinking of 2027 for another re-election. Don't forget that immediately they got the ticket to represent the people. When people are talking of development, they are thinking of 2027. So for that reason, they cannot be bold enough to challenge anybody. But they are giving tacit support to those who are on strike. If you encounter those person people, they will tell you in confidence that the legislators are very happy with what they are doing. So it's like they are pushing them forward and remaining.
Mr. Lawal, the law has already granted them autonomy, but the state governments will not implement it, right? And rather than come out and openly go, take a stand against the governor, it would appear that they're doing it through the parliamentary workers, right? They don't. So it's like we have lawmakers who are protecting their political future.
No, I said something earlier.
Yeah.
You have lawmakers that don't understand law, do not understand the Constitution of the Federal Republic, and are more party affiliated than they are affiliated to the country or the people they have sworn to represent. That has always been our problem. And so I don't expect anything from any parliamentarian. I told you, 65% of them probably don't even know what's written, how the Constitution of Nigeria looks. And I will be aware of that. And this, I'm not saying it because I just want to call figures off the top of my head. The Electoral College has taken statistics to this effect. And we know 65% of them don't know their jobs. So what do you expect? Yes, they will hide behind and cower. These are people that can say the governor can leave and the governor leaves today. There is no drag. They can impeach a governor, yet you cower under. How governors achieve that? Let me be honest. I call the governors in Nigeria the Houdinis of our democracy, because they've done so many magic tricks that I don't know how they become they are more powerful than even the president.
Well, I mean, this is surely a very interesting conversation, and I want to thank you both for joining me, to make sense of this conversation this evening. Mr. Afolabi, thank you very much for your reporting. We appreciate it. Ayodele Afolabi is a journalist with The Guardian, and he reported on the story for The Guardian today. And thank you very much for joining us this evening, Mr. Kunle Lawal, Executive Director, Electoral College. We appreciate you spent an hour with us this evening, so thank you for being generous with your time and sharing these insights with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Stay with us. The round table is up next. So by now you've heard that the NLC have gone on strike in Imo State, and you're calling for a nationwide strike starting next week Tuesday. It would appear that the NLC is trying to make the entire country make what is happening in Imo State their business. I want to get what you think of that, right? I want your thoughts on what the NLC is trying to do here. So talk to me at the round table. I'll be back in just a touch. Good evening.
Stay tuned to your Beyond the News station daily for our up-to-the-minute compact news bulletins from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., bringing you a wide range of local and international news from our news desk. Stay informed, stay updated on Radio Now 95.3 FM.
Police officer now. I know to make money today. I beg now. Hey! Today is the day.